Hello, and welcome to this week's episode of the Safety Brief. With the holidays coming up and a known rise in online shopping, we would like to empower end users with knowledge to navigate online marketplace securely. I have Mike and Matt here today. Thank you both for being here as always. I appreciate the expert advice and safe practices.
Absolutely. Thanks for having us.
Of course. So, the digital marketplace is dynamic with evolving trends and challenges. Online shops provide convenience, but also expose users to various cyber threats. To start off, how can we distinguish between secure and unsecured websites while making online purchases?
One has an S and the other doesn't.
Oh yeah, that's true. Unpack that a little bit, Matt. What about how would I identify that on my mobile phone or on my desktop?
On phone, I'd have to pull one up and take a look. But if you are using Chrome, which most people are using Chrome on their desktops, I don't know anybody that uses Edge aside from downloading Chrome. So, there's that. uh, hashtag we love you, Edge. Thank you. That's how we get our Chrome. If you go to a secure website, first off, the actual host name is going to start with the prefix of HTTPS colon. But moreover, you're going to have a little lock that shows up next to that because when you go to the actual site, the prefix goes away. You're only going to see something like, let's use Slack, for example, app.slack.com. That's where you're going to actually see. But that lock, if you click on it, will actually come up and tell you connection is secure. You can actually look in there and you can see your your information, for example, passwords, credit card numbers, etc., are private when sent to the site. Even more, Chrome added some features a while ago that actually tell you whether or not the certificate for the site is valid, which is also a good thing to know.
No, that's profound. And while Matt was talking about that, I went ahead and pulled up. I got an iPhone, so default browser Safari for a lot of people. You go to google.com, you're immediately going to see it replaced with also a lock at the front of the domain name or the website name, right? And so, again, what does that mean? That just means that whoever the publisher of that website is has taken extra diligence to authenticate and validate that they are who they say they are as far as a domain, and they're going to put some additional security in front of their website. The reason Matt would say something without that would lead users potentially down a harrowing path is because it hasn't been validated, it hasn't been authenticated. Similar to like maybe a caller ID on your phone or something that's able to vouch for, is this number actually who they say they are? Is this contact who they say they are? Even on LinkedIn, Twitter, and others, they have validated with a government ID things, right?
Mm-hmm.
And so similar concept, right? Those websites are scrutinized if they don't have HTTPS as a protocol. But it is 100% a way to identify a website that maybe was spun up a few hours ago as a trap for users to walk into. And it's a really easy way. Look for the lock, right? Look for the icon. And if it's got HTTPS, it doesn't mean you're all good, right? Every HTTPS is good, but it means that website's gone through some validation. That's a good point.
Side note, can you imagine how bad it would be if Admiral Akbar worked in cybersecurity?
It's a trap. It's all a trap, right?
You would hear that nonstop all day, all night.
You would. No, that's real. Let me think. So what Elizabeth, restate the point. I know we were talking about specifically what are some indicators, right? Yeah, so I guess for end users, I'd have to say, again, it comes back to number one, being vigilant. We are walking into a time where burglars, robbers, threat actors alike, are very well aware that everyone's looking for a deal. Everyone's looking for a deal. Everyone's looking for the best sale, the best price, the best value. Why? Well, because of the economy we're in right now, a lot of people are more mindful about their pennies and where they're going, and I can't blame them. Specifically being able to budget around holiday time has always been a challenging thing for everybody, regardless of if you're in cybersecurity or not. But specifically, threat actors will use this as a weakness to exploit. And what do I mean? Well, if you go online and you're using something like a price tracker or a browser add-in for the best price possible across, like reputable websites, we're not going to name any, but the e-commerce ones of choice. We'll talk about Second Best Buy or almostgoodbuy.com, right? There's a couple out there that a lot of people frequent. Glamazon.com is another one. Target from France is another one. Target.com. That's Target, so don't go to Target. That's Target.com. But the point being is threat actors know that these are a lot of places where users will commonly, yeah, that's true. Walmart, even if it's walmart.com, that is not Walmart, right? But I will say that users are targeted, right? So I think it's just a matter of realizing that as a shopper, I am looking for the best deal, but to just be a healthy amount of suspicious over where you're finding this price. I think it's safe to say if you're finding a price or you're finding an ad, like an advertisement, make sure it's on the website that it's being advertised from, right? So if you're on, we'll just say Target, right? My wife loves Target. So Target.com, if you're looking at a Target ad on Target.com, probably reputable, right? But if you're scrolling and you're seeing an ad that'll redirect you out of that website, it is a common misconception that because I found this ad on this website, then it's reputable. Same as if you're scrolling Glamazon.com and there's a sponsored item. Those people are paying more to have that item listed at the top. They may not be coming direct from the manufacturer. And so for end users, just to unpack this further, for any users that have shopped on Amazon specific to buying from the direct seller, so if you're buying a phone case, you want to make sure it's coming from the direct seller, maybe not a third-party seller. And there's ways to look at that. But needless to say, be mindful of the advertisements that you're seeing. Everyone knows you're looking for a good deal, and threat actors will seek to exploit this in the form of ads that, people will say, well, how could they post malicious links, or how could they post bad content or a piece of malware or virus in an ad? People are selling advertising space. Very, very few on the web. We're going to vet that use of advertising space.
Want honesty here?
Yeah, send it.
Okay, I'm going to give you guys a little bit of nightmare fuel. First off, Facebook does not, or I'm sorry, Meta, whatever you guys want to call yourselves, you suck at security. They decide that they don't want to actually vet links that are posted in promoted sales or advertisements. Do you guys know that?
Yeah.
So you very simply, you want to hit a large demographic of people with a downloader. And I could actually do a live demo of this like right now, because I have an IP address that I could use that you could embed in an image, automatically downloads malware. All you have to do is just get it out there. Right. You pay for the promotion, you set $20. Let's say you want to do that, because you do $20, you're going to get 2 to 8 million people that are going to see it on average. They click it. There you go. You target something that people really, really want. Whatever the hot new toy is, say, get this at a discount. We've said this before. People are the weak point. We are built to have mistakes. We're built to make mistakes. So we know what's going to happen. The problem is we also know how to exploit our ability to make mistakes and prey on that, which is terrible.
Right.
So you go to said link, you click on said link downloads malicious content to your machine. Most home users, let's be honest here, they're not trying to target you with ransomware. There is no payout from your piggy bank that is going to be worth them facing federal jail time for crossing state lines and accessing your machine and, all that fun stuff. But organizations, that's a good target. So what do you do? What's the best way to do this? You're working from home. You're using your same machines, probably on the same network. Let's hit something that can crawl the network. Let's hit something that can find other IP addresses. Oh, better yet, you're using logins and passwords for these websites, right? What's the chance you reused one of those passwords as your password to log into your machine? What's the chance that you logged in using your username and password for your work machine to access your web email, or access remote desktop, or access any other object? They get on the machine, they scrape the information, they now have access. find a weak point, hop onto your work machine. They've got access. Get a foothold, laterally move once it's on the VPN. There you go.
Yeah.
There's your nightmare fuel for the day.
That's real. No, it's not common. We get to minute 12 and we get nightmare fuel from Matt. So I got to say,
I
that's
know.
Christmas came early for everybody.
Rare form.
No, it's all right, man. That's all right. It's insightful. Again, because, just the point to walk away with is just because it's an advertisement doesn't mean it's true. Just because it's an advertisement doesn't mean it's been vetted or validated. It just means somebody paid for that advertising block of space, the same as any billboard on any highway. So end users, while you're shopping, while you're looking at those holiday ads, and the good thing is a lot of these brands will provide some form of like shopping guide or shopping catalog. So those are trusted. Use those. They're published by the vendor itself. But specifically, what you're going to find is make sure you stick to those reputable sources. Make sure you're sticking to advertisements that are coming from the vendor themselves, hosted on the vendor's website, because it's a common thing when threat actors try to maybe appeal to users or arouse them away from a website. They're going to pull them out of that website where that security is, where that HTTPS protocol is, right? And they're going to try to lead you somewhere else. Now, some websites, maybe users have seen this, will actually notify you are leaving BLOKWORX.com, right? You are being redirected. I am letting you know because any content past this link is not put out by BLOKWORX.com, right? So if you've ever seen that, that's a fun fact. That's why that is, because the common misconception is I clicked on this link on this website and this is where I ended up. But again, that's not at that person's liability if that's where you ended up. But it's a good question. Just a common couple ways to identify whether it's the website being secure, the advertisement being maybe second guessed in a healthy way, or that deal. Hey, AirPods Pros, $29.99. There ain't no AirPods Pros for $29.99. You know what I mean? So apply that common sense.
I think it goes back into our previous discussions where if it's too good to be true, it is. And something else that might also prove helpful in the month of October for cybersecurity awareness, we actually did post a little graphic on LinkedIn that kind of breaks down how to break down the security of a website, how to ensure it's a secure website. So that also might prove helpful. For me personally, I don't click on any social media ads of any sort because if it's too good to be true, it probably is. And I almost think of it as I've never purchased anything off of Craigslist where you're meeting someone one-on-one rather than going to a store or buying from a well-known source such as Target or Amazon, like you said. So when you think of buying things from like these marketplaces or like unknown sites, I would also like almost think as if you're doing this in person. Would you go and meet this person in a parking lot, or would you give them your address to come to your house? Probably not. So you don't want to give them your information to ship. You don't want to give them your information with your name and your credit card information as well. So it's something really important to think about.
Great point.
Speaking of credit cards, I know
we got some good ones about this.
Yeah. So I know it sounds nice to have your card saved, all your info saved, your name, your number, your address, all that. You can save it in browsers. You can save it in Firefox. You can save it on your phone. Me personally, I take the 5 minutes to go and get my card. And it actually even saves me from accidentally purchasing things that I don't need. Because, if it's an impulse buy, I'm not going to go grab my card. So it may even help with that as well. But I think it's very important not to save your cards on these platforms if it's not needed. So with that being said, what practices should we adopt to secure our card information during online transactions? And how can we avoid saving card details when it's unnecessary?
Ooh, okay. So I'm going to throw this out there. This is something that not many people know actually exists. Mike, you know this exists because we've discussed this before. There are certain credit cards that you can leverage that if you would like to do online purchases, you have the capability of making a one-time use card number. This is something that keeps you safe. It generates a completely new randomized card number within the realm of what they're able to use Visa, MasterCard, Amex, whatever. Diners Club, if you have it. That might be a bit old. But it allows you to use that as a one-time purchase. It will still link back to your account. Your payment will go through, etc. But you're not running the risk of putting your card out there. We've all had it happen. I had somebody from a hotel in Arkansas when I went there that took the credit card and went on a shopping spree at a sports store. They called me asking why I bought a bunch of racquetball stuff. I didn't even know what racquetball was until I found out that I apparently purchased a whole bunch of stuff. So that was less fun. But that keeps you safe because it's that one-time purchase. So they can take that card, they can take the CVC number or whatever. There you go. They try it, it fails, doesn't exist anymore.
Yeah, no, it's a great point, and it's awesome that Matt and I are on the same page here. So I actually have some content. I want to throw it up here. So this is shameless plug, privacy.com. Okay, so privacy.com. Matt, maybe this is the same exact thing you were thinking of and use, but so here's what's awesome about this, and I use this routinely. Okay, so what happens is you connect a bank account to this secure website, and then you can go ahead and generate, just as Matt said, specific debit card numbers and CVCs that you can use that act as masquerades for your payment info. So if these get leaked, not the end of the world. You don't got to reissue your credit card. You don't got to call your bank and say, hey, I'm now in need of a new debit card number, and you wait a week or whatever it is. But here's the beauty of this. You can set spending limits, and I use this for memberships or subscriptions. So if I know that Netflix is supposed to be $12.99 a month, or maybe it was $12.99 in 1993. I don't know what it is now.
About $22 a month.
Right, I was like $23.99. Yeah. So you can set the spending limit monthly. You can make it one time, monthly, weekly, yearly, and it will decline if it is charged any more than the limit you set or any more than the frequency you set. So I use this to keep a wrap on the subscriptions before the cost starts drifting. You can put this on your phone bill. You can put this on whatever, right? And again, what it generates is a secure 16-digit card number, super practical use platform. Obviously, use at your own risk, right? I'm not saying anything's more safe than anything else. Maybe you have your own tool preferred. But I know that it's safer than inputting your debit, credit card, heaven forbid, your checking and routing number on any website, on any auto pay. Because that's the auto pay specifically I think of is something that a lot of people zone out about. They just, well, I assume whatever the transaction is, it's going through. So this is helpful to keep some eyes on it. If you do want to keep your credit card info safe, again, it's a free website. They have a paid tier depending on how many cards you want to spin up, right? I think it's like 2 or 3 basic that are free, but specifically allows you to build out, hey, if I know I'm going to Walmart and I'm going to shop for this much money, I'm going on the website and I know I'm spending no more than $180, right? It's also a helpful budgeting tool. Maybe not intentionally, but it sets your spending limit, and then it would, again, enforce that from that point forward. So if you are looking for a way to further harden your credit card info when you shop online, or if you just have bills that are recurring each month, privacy.com, super helpful, super useful. Go check it out. Shameless plug. They didn't sponsor the stream. They didn't sponsor me. They don't send me any money. I don't have a referral code. Maybe I should have. But that's one way that's really easy for you to add some level of security by an anonymity as far as your credit card goes.
Thank you for that. I think another thing to think about as well is, anytime you're checking out at any store in person, there's a whole wall full of gift cards and prepaid cards. You're there, you're in person, you can purchase those cards and use that for your online shopping. Additionally, this is what I use when I go on cruises or when I know that I'm going out of state while I'm traveling. I don't notify and tell my bank, oh, I'm traveling. Please, turn off any borders or anything of that nature. I go ahead and get that prepaid card where I'm from. That way there's no question on how much I'm going to spend. So again, it kind of helps with the budget a little bit.
Brilliant. I missed this on the Disney trip last week. This is brilliant. Yeah.
Oh, especially going to Disney, you're going to need something like that. So you don't go over your, I guess, preset limit, and you're keeping your information safe. So I don't know how many times I've gotten those gift cards or the prepaid cards. So those are also very helpful. So a really popular thing nowadays is Apple Wallets. You can have your Apple Wallet set up on your TVs now to where your kids could just buy a rented movie and just double click on the phone. They're convenient, and I guess a lot of people use it. But what would you do to ensure that the information stays secure if you are using things like Apple Watch? I mean Apple Wallets.
Apple
Sorry.
Pay, Apple, yeah, and there's Google
I
Pay too,
use
and
my
Samsung
Apple
Pay.
Wallet all the time.
Yeah. Well, I surely won't give my kids my wallet ever. They
No.
already have it, and for what they use
Mine's
it
already
for
learned how to
is-
order things on Amazon. I'm already trying to battle
Right.
that one.
Yeah.
Uh-oh.
No, that's a
Yeah.
true story. My 2-year-old bought a book on my Kindle. I didn't even know that was possible, right? And I'm still learning things. So, no, I think, there's a lot of, I will say this as a preface. A lot of people listen to our stream, our podcast, and our recordings. There's a lot of heated debate on physical plastic, paper cash, and Apple Pay, Google Pay, like Samsung Pay. Here's what I know. Specifically, Apple Pay is the one I've done the most research on. It does a very good job of giving the least possible amount of details to the vendor during the exchange. So I'm talking specifically like your tap to pays, terminals, and whatever. I know that it's safer at gas pumps. I know that it's safer in credit, like in stores where you swipe. Like from my experience level and my research, it's generally safer because it's doing some level of again, anonymizing all of the data that ties back to you, as opposed to just physically handing somebody your credit card where they could swipe it. There's NFC readers, there's flippers, there's all these crazy devices out there that, as pictured in Exhibit B up there.
I was going to mention that. You can literally take a credit card and by using this, steal every bit of the information from the credit card and make a clone.
Mm-hmm.
Right. And it's interesting because, again, this is where users are better educated than they are scared. Is, you've noticed a lot of changes with your debit cards recently, your credit cards. So we've had a magnetic stripe for a very long time. Very long time. Then came the chip, right? And what is it about the chip that's more secure than the trip? And then maybe on your holiday gift roster is an NFC blocking wallet, right? What does that mean? Near field communications, right? I'm just saying, it's on some of these, a lot of these, like for dads, your gadget guy, daily carries, right? There's a lot of these, but specifically with the danger with magnetic strip is it is something so simple in technology that it can be easily, swiped, right? In multiple terms of the word, right? So you can get the information off of it.
You could actually buy that you would take the card, take the card out that came with the wallet. You would then hold the button down, put your card in, take it out, put the other card back in, and it would now create a blank card that had your information stored on it.
Very easy
and it was
to
all
clone.
in the little thing itself. I have one upstairs. The battery's dead on it.
Was it the coin?
I can't remember what it was. It was one of the first ones
about.
that came out. It was a black wallet that was chunky and never worked right. And but I had like 6 cards in that,
right?
And found that there were flaws because you could use that technology and you could basically clone anybody's card you wanted.
Exactly.
In like 15 seconds or less.
Exactly. So thus came the chip, which was much more difficult because that data was stored locally, almost like a SIM card. If you ever look at it and you look at a SIM card, you're like, those look really familiar. That's because they are. And they're much more secure. They can't be, hovered over a scanner or put through a detector, if you will, and pull the data off.
Cars that used to have the security chips on the keys themselves.
Right.
I know Chevy did this in a lot of their upper end cars, like the Z28, the Super Sport, some of their higher end SUVs. The keys actually had a physical chip on them that had to be, when you put the key in, it would read that chip and allow you to actually do things.
Right.
Same premise.
Exactly. And now the interesting thing is now we've gone to tap to pay with debit cards and credit cards, right? This is the most recent thing. If you have gotten any new card in the mail recently from your bank or your lender of choice, whoever it is, right, your credit union, now we're back to tap to pay, right? So again, I think if I look at those 3 options and I look at Apple Pay or I look at Google Pay or Samsung Pay, right, I think is it more safe when I'm walking around the store, I'm walking around the mall to use the tap to pay on my phone? I believe that there's more secure technology in that than the piece of plastic our banks just send us. right? But it's all levels of risk, and I think that's an important point that we harp on often in the cybersecurity community, but it's also relevant here for end users, kind of listening and eager to learn how they could stay safe during the holiday season is, Apple Pay. It's funny that there's suspicion of the security there just as much as there is with people who just prefer to use cash, right? And there's nothing wrong with paper, but I personally, I am better. November 16th, that Elizabeth brought up this gift card idea because I think that's brilliant. There's security, there's budgeting in that. There's so many good habits, right? Hey, give your kid $100 gift card, whatever. They go to the mall, and that's their budget, right? Like let them go crazy, let them go pick out what they want. But when the card run out, it's out of money, and that's a life lesson. That's a personal finance lesson that they'll learn, right? Because when the card's out of money, the card's out of money. There's no borrowing, right, at an interest rate. And so, but specifically, I know
really
that
cool
much about Apple Pay.
We're talking about, using the Apple Wallet. Did you guys know that the Apple Card has the functionalities that we're talking about as a default? So I was just actually looking in here and seeing, and everything that it has in here will tell. I mean, it's all fake, basically. It ties back to the actual titanium card, but it's not the actual number. And you can actually click in the app and say request new card number, and it will generate a new virtual number for you.
Right.
Which is extremely awesome. I love it.
Yeah, and to go a little bit deeper on that as well, I actually use another app, and I'll just go ahead and say what it is. It's Cash App. I use Cash App, and I have it linked to my actual bank. However, it has a limit, and not only that, but it doesn't automatically pool. So I have to physically go and add cash into Cash App, and that is what's connected to my Apple Pay. So if somehow, some way things went sour with Apple Pay, say I have $50 in my Cash App, that's all that would be available. It's not going to tie back to my card. So it's hidden behind the Cash App card number or banking routing number, and account number, because Cash App also has their own numbers, and then behind the Apple Pay. So it's kind of a double pane glass in the way, which is really helpful.
2 degrees of separation there.
Yeah, I think it's also really important to, when you set up your Apple Pay, I believe there's a way to where you don't have to unlock your phone or put in any kind of passwords or anything of that nature. I think it's really important to, number one, have some sort of, password needed, face recognition, or anything of that nature, just to have another layer of protection. I get that it's convenient to be able to just tap your phone and walk away. However, it takes 2 seconds to, face your phone towards yourself to unlock it and ensure that if you do lose your phone, no one can just go walk around and tap to pay and anywhere they'd like. So
exactly. No, that Cash App, that's clever. I'm learning stuff. If anybody's listening to this after the fact, I'm over here like I'm taking notes, and not that I don't take notes every safety brief, but these are brilliant little nuggets of wisdom on how to protect your hard-earned money, especially during this holiday season where you spend a good amount on a gift and then that's not actually the gift, and now you're out of your spending money that you budgeted, right? That's a scary thing.
Yeah. So this is something you should be more privy on, Mike, as you set up our annual gift exchange.
Oh, yes.
When engaging in gift exchange or using lesser known sites, what steps can we take to verify the authenticity and security of the platform? And how would you go about choosing your gift list / exchange platform?
Throw darts at a wall.
That's a good question. So I don't have a great answer here with any profound nuggets of wisdom, but I will say we do leverage a platform that we've used for a number of years, specific to coordinating Secret Santas across state lines and things like that, where it's you have a lot of people that are remote. They're not in the physical location that may be to attend a gift exchange like this. But I will say this about putting stuff on your wish list, about creating wish lists online. You need to be very careful on how public these wish lists are. And here's why. So if I go ahead and publicize, let's say, rhetorically, let's play with Matt's wish list, right? So I'm Matt, and I'm creating a wish list, and I'd really love this holiday season if Santa or whoever's coming down my chimney brings me a new game controller, okay? And then I put on a couple other things, and then I put on some heating pad and some massage chair and whatever, right? I go crazy. And I make this public. This is open source information.
Mhm.
So if anybody gets access to this information or searches my profile on Glamazon or whatever it is, right? That's information that can be used against you in theory. So I would just be careful. There is a way to like share links privately. This also applies to wedding registries and baby registries, where your
100%.
address may be public to those with that link. And I know this isn't specific to holiday shopping, but it's a common time of year where people are making these lists and these registries and things like this. And it's something to keep in mind, right? Because your address is typically, in 99% of the cases, your domicile, your place where you live, place where you tuck your kids in bed at night. So it's another thing with gift registries to keep in mind where you're publishing this information, how that link is being shared, how that link is accessed online. Is another thing to really keep mindful, because again, if I have your address and what your interests are and your name, I can craft a really compelling email that says, hey, I was notified by Los Angeles Police Department that your package containing this was stolen. Please click here to get in contact with the patrol officer who's been assigned to this case. Like scary stuff, right? Scary. And all I needed was your name, your address, which is now conveniently tied to this gift link, and the things that you're interested in. And that's a very compelling email. And that could spook some users really easily. But it's, again, threat actors are only as powerful as we enable them to be. So the takeaway, the application, is be mindful of where you're putting this information, how publicly accessible it is, and who can get their hands on it, and what that could be done with it if it is accessed.
We talk about the threat actors and them being as strong as we enable them to be. Well, how about the opposite side of that? How about the threat actors enabling us to be as weak as we could possibly be? So there's a current trend occurring right now. It's called the wrong number trend. You guys heard of it?
Tell us.
Okay. You get a text message. I mean, it's harmless. I mean, we get them all the time. I get them all the time. I don't answer them, but I get them all the time. They're going to send you something, and it's going to be a wrong number. You're going to respond back to them, and you're going to say, I believe you have the wrong number, blah, blah, blah. Well, they're going to just strike up a conversation with you. This conversation will go on. They'll endear themselves to you. They'll do what they can to try and be your best friend, although you're getting catfished by Phil, who's, sitting over in some random place. But what they're going to do,
Damn it,
exactly. That's the glory. That's what the glory of this is. They go through. Once they endear themselves to you, they start talking about, hey, I have a tip for you because I'm making a whole bunch of money doing this. Well, what's the hot thing these days? Crypto. Should be called crapto, but crypto. So they're going to send you a link, and they're going to say, you can make a ton of money off of this. You put a little bit in there. They're going to give you a link to a website. You're going to look, and you're going to see that you're, already seeing 20 to 30% return on your crypto. Cool. It's fake. You're not seeing a return on anything. Your money went to some other account or some other wallet that you can never get that out of. They're showing you a return. Every time you make a further, purchase of crypto, it keeps track of that and keeps showing you the return and your total account balance. There's people right now that they've lost, $500,000 doing this. They'll log in, they'll try to withdraw, and they get a message back saying there's no account. Apologies. Or they'll get something saying, in order to withdraw that amount, you need to deposit 20% to ensure that all fees, etc., are covered. You'll get that back as, a part of the process. Put in that extra 20%, you don't see anything. Nothing comes back. Even more fun, because of the nature of crypto, there's no suspect. Use a burner phone, you run it through, zero logging VPN. Good luck. You're out you're out, hundreds of thousands of dollars. Someone else is sitting over there just laughing and smiling. Phil's over there planning on how much Popeyes he's going to buy. There you go.
Love the Popeyes there.
It's a weekly thing for me. So yeah,
It's a weekly thing for Phil too. You guys
exactly.
can bond over that. Yeah.
Hi, I'm Phil. How are
Most
you?
likely. So no, I love that you brought up the fact that keeping those lists should be private. That's something that I actually was able to look into last year when we first started doing the gift exchange. I had no idea what to put on there,
Right.
and the first
The
thing
most
I did
expensive
was well, the first thing I went and did was look at everyone else's who had a public list, and just to kind of see what they had on there, which obviously wasn't malicious coming from me. However, like you said, that could turn very malicious very quickly.
Right.
And I think that it's been a very popular thing to tell, this is what I'm wearing, this is where I got it, especially huge on social media. So I think that that's something that people should really look out for, is sharing those lists. It has your address, it has all the information that someone would need for recon in a sense. So I think it's really important to highlight that. I think it's really important to also make sure that, again, they're secure sites, they're secure checkout. You could also use the same tactics that we talked about on our previous safety brief end user segment, where we talked a little about how to stay safe online as well. So that's really helpful.
Absolutely. Yeah, especially taking into account if you add any things to that registry and there's kids' sizes. It's very easy to associate like kids' clothing garment sizes to their age, right? So, okay, if I could put 2 and 2 together and you got a 4T and a youth small and a youth extra large, right? Like you just, especially for under 5 years old, that's just really, really exercise an abundance of caution with that stuff. And again, grandma, grandpa, auntie, uncle, sister, brother, everyone's gonna want, what do you want? What can I get them? What can I get the grandkids or whatever? Yeah, it's just something to be very, very cognizant of what you're sharing, where you're putting it, how accessible it is. Just be mindful. Just be mindful, and that's for all the parents out there.
This is more for parents. We talk about sanitizing things. When you have a baby, the first thing you do is you learn how to sanitize everything because they're going to put it in their mouth. Well, guess what? The baby stuff isn't the only thing that needs to be sanitized. You need to go through and sanitize anything that you are posting online. If you post a picture and it has an address or a semi-truck, you want to make sure that that's not clearly visible. As your kids get older, they graduate, they post up their degree, a picture of them holding it. Make sure you can't see the information on the degree. If you can figure that out, you can basically take all of that information and you could create a credit card account. You could create whatever you want. It becomes very dangerous. Very, very basic, information can be used in a very dangerous way to really, cause you financial harm. And that's part of what we want to try and help everybody prevent, is getting into that kind of situation.
I'm glad you brought that up. And like I previously said, this is all really helpful information. This is stuff that we kind of talked on a little bit on our previous stream as well. So I think this was such a perfect topic to jump into after our previous end user bootcamp, where you can check out and see a lot of other things like that, how to stay safe, how to stay, keep your privacy, I guess, more heightened online, which is really an important topic. But to switch over to our last little question in this stream, something really popular is online checkouts where you have to log in. You have to create an account. And this is also something we spoke about a little bit in our previous stream. So when you have to create an account and log in with your email and all that nature, how can we stay more secure when we're adding those items to our shopping carts and checking out in those type of sites?
I use a throwaway email address. This is not a promotion, but I will throw this out there. Proton Mail is great if you want to use a throwaway email address. It's trusted by bad actors worldwide that commit ransom fraud. So it's obviously secure because they're trusting it. So why not? But that's one of the things that I would first suggest is anytime you're gonna have to create an account for someplace, use an email address that isn't the one that you're primarily using. You're going to end up on every list out there. You're going to get a whole bunch of spam and junk that you don't care about. Just make it a throwaway account. You never have to check the stupid thing unless they make you validate your email address, which a lot of them do. But after that, who cares? You can just use that same email address for all the sites you go to that you're buying stuff from. You don't have to worry about your main email being compromised.
Yeah, I'd have to agree with that. I think also, your phone number could be used to do a lot of damage if
Mhm.
it's in the wrong hands. I often tell people, and maybe it's a hyperbole or maybe it's just helpful, but you could do more damage with someone's phone number than their social security number in 2023. And so, just guarding that, being really certain where you're putting that. I know we've talked about in the past other platforms where you can anonymize your phone number. You can get a routing number for a free online call service, um, et cetera, et cetera. But again, I think it's just there's common patterns, right? Guarding your information is a big one. Using reputable sites is a big one. Don't fall for scams that sound too good to be true is a big one. Advertisements and where they are may or may not mean they're legitimate. So using
Mhm.
context clues on where these ads originate from, where they're being accessed, how you're accessing them, where they're leading you. So like if you start a transaction on Apple's website, you're going to be on Apple's website the entire time. You click an advertisement on any other website, if you're on Best Buy or whatever.com, they'll sell ad space. They'll sell ad space in their search results section. So if you are returning results for a TV or a game console or whatever's on whoever's Phil's Christmas list, right? Phil's going to be the contestant for the rest of the stream here. Whatever's on Phil's Christmas list, you're going to get results, but some of those may be from Best Buy, some of them may not be. They're going to lead you away from the website. So just be wary when
They
you're
will.
you're clicking around and you're seeing a new tab open or a new window open. Maybe pump the brakes, exercise a little bit of caution. And again, the biggest thing I can advise is if you're shopping on your mobile phone, everything's smaller, everything's harder to see. Double check, triple check your address. This is not even a security thing, but it's more of like a just shop smart thing. Don't miss a
Exactly.
single number in address line. You send it somewhere else, now you're on a wild goose chase to get your item, and very few people during this time, retailer-wise, are going to entertain, I shipped it to the wrong place, I'm so sorry, right? Like, they got so many
They
requests coming
won't.
in. So
Now
just be
here's the other
mindful.
thing. Humans by nature suffer from hubris. Quite a bit of it, in fact. Uh, a lot of people are going to sit there and say, "Oh, this will never happen to me." Well, when it does, we call that death by hubris. So you will fall victim to yet another in the many of the failings. With what Mike is saying, with what Elizabeth is saying, it's very common. All of this is just like 101 stuff. Just be diligent. Look at what you're doing. Don't rush. I know this time of the year sucks. It's good, it's bad. It's good because you get time with family. It's bad because, well, you're scrambling trying to get everything done for that time with family. Little details can get overlooked. You don't need an office space situation. You don't need to put a decimal place in the wrong spot. You don't need to, just click on the wrong site. It's very straightforward. You can be safe. We can help you.
Yeah. One saved round that just came to mind that I really want to make sure we don't miss on this stream and the recording is this is a really popular time for giving. Charitable donations, charitable contributions, whether it's local church, local nonprofit, local food bank, soup kitchen, whatever, right? The next 90 days account for like 80% of all annual giving at a lot of these nonprofits, right? Because they're pushing for year end, for budget, everything else, right? So please, 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 if there is a physical drop box or a physical place to drop that donation off, get a receipt for it and validate that transaction. I'm going to highly advise against online giving unless you're absolutely certain, without a shadow of a doubt, that you are at the right website, at the right nonprofit, gonna get a receipt via email or via the mail. It's most likely gonna be email if you're online. But again, I know from a nonprofit, I've worked with a lot of nonprofits and done a lot of work in that way. This is like a big giving season for a lot of those seeking to meet their year-end goal. Whether it's a radio station, right? You're calling in, make sure you get the number right, stuff like that, right? Just be extra cautious. There's a lot of that going on over the next 60 to 90 days. Be really, really vigilant. Just be really,
the American
really vigilant.
Red Cross is going to start working from a whole bunch of different domain names you did not know that they own.
Yeah, and again, and we see this stuff spike when it's specifically after like really high profile news, humanitarian crises, right? So fires in Lahaina, I believe, is in Hawaii, right? So that was one. Huge earthquake in Iceland. Obviously, all the global conflict, geopolitical conflict right now, humanitarian aid going there, storms passing through the Caribbean, things like that, right? So just be extra, extra cautious. Who is asking you for charitable donations during the next 90 days, how they are sending you to those charitable donations, right? I work like innately with a local church, and they're like, click this QR code to give. I cringe. I get it. It's accessible, but find the physical drop box, find the physical envelope. If you need to go buy a 10-year supply of envelopes, because they only sell them in packs of 100, and we're never going to use more than 2 a year, right? Go buy it. It's a worthy investment. But just, I really, really want to caution people, because there's a lot of good-hearted people out there. The holiday time kind of brings that out of a lot of people as well. But don't get caught getting exploited during a really, really ripe season to give and donate. But it's something that a lot of people prey on. And it's sad and it's unfortunate, but I merely say that for awareness, so end users are better off while they're shopping and donating online.
For churches, a lot of the smaller churches you'll find do not necessarily have a domain, or the users will send from their personal email addresses. That makes it really easy for somebody to go in there and send you a link to donate or pretend to donate, and there goes your money. The best option, if you're going to deal with a church, a group, etc., anybody, the Red Cross, ASPCA, anybody, find a local branch, walk in, make the donation in person.
Right.
Not only can you get a receipt, thank you. I was going to say, they are not only something you can claim on your taxes as a deduction, but it also is a record that you made everything that you can keep. So you know, oh, look, I actually did make this one for 500. Oh, this one for 14,000, I probably did not make.
Right. No, exactly. Yeah. Again, you want proof that your money left your account, was debited, ideally not credited, right? It should be an immediate pull.
Correct.
And you have a receipt to validate the amount. Because here's what happens. If you get into a situation, heaven forbid, where you sponsor a child overseas, right, and it's during like a giving auction or whatever it is, and you are tracking that $250 should leave your account, and you don't have a receipt for that, what's going to happen is that will be debited out of your account. But what happens when 3 more transactions for $250 come out? And then you have to go to your bank's fraud department. What is the fraud department going to ask for? Give me the receipt. Give me the validation, the proof of purchase of what you authorized. And if you don't have that, and again, not trying to scare people, a lot of good-natured people are going to give over the next 90 days, and you should give generously out of plenty, out of lean. But the point being, just protect yourself, armor yourself with a case. If you do go to give, if you do go to donate, get that receipt, get that proof of purchase, whatever it is. To Matt's point, shows up on your tax return, and that's a good receipt to have. But you just want absolute assurance, whether it's physical, whether it's in person, whether it's whatever, that your money's going to where your heart wants it to go to.
I'm so glad that you brought that up. That's something that I didn't even think to put in here. So that's a great topic, especially during the holiday season. And to touch a little bit on what Matt said with the burner emails, I completely agree. I use the same practices. Even though I click not to receive any newsletters or anything of that nature, the email that I use on all of my shopping and checkouts is so full of spam. But the great part about that is we don't get the spam emails because we don't open them. You open the one email to activate your account, and that's it. Maybe go in there and look to see if, the item that you purchased is on its way. However, my main emails, my school emails, have zero spam, which is very nice. I kind of keep that clean, and it takes away a little bit of the worry. One thing I also wanted to touch on, talking about physical addresses a lot, something that you can also do, which was also brought up in our previous discussion, is set up a PO box. If you're wanting to keep your personal address safe when you're doing these, wish lists, or if you're ordering online, having that PO box is also really helpful. So
100% agree. Yeah, and there's other services. I know your local post office will have a PO box. UPS, FedEx sometimes offer post services where they'll give you a post box of a varying size for mail, for packages, for etc. That's a great option. One quick aside on the email piece: if you're creating a burner email, don't use your first initial last name in your burner email. Okay,
please don't.
Right? Like, that's an opportunity for you to be creative. Stretch your creative legs. Make it whatever you want. Lizard People 355. Right? I don't care. Right? It doesn't matter what your email is. It's just as long as you can read it and you can open it, then it's great. Right? And so, but again, it's just something to keep in mind. A lot of people are, well, what can I remember? What's easy? Things like that. You want to, anonymize any form of contact info that could tie it back to you while you're shopping. Again, because if I have first initial last name in my email address and now my email's out there, well, they can go and easily crawl my identity online if they have my email, and then they can tie that activity together. So great point on a burner email. Just anonymize it. Don't use your last name or any key identifiers. First name's fine, right? Use first name and your birth year, whatever you want. But I would stay away from any nicknames, high school names, right? The nicknames your coworkers give you that you maybe chose or didn't choose. Paul.bunyan at BLOKWORX.com could be one, but regardless,
I have one
again,
from yesterday's shenanigans I could use.
Yeah, no, there's a lot. So find some creative energy there. Use your imagination, obviously, as long as it's in the bounds of something that you could easily remember and access as you need to look at those orders and find that tracking info. Yeah, all good stuff.
Well, to close out today's discussion, our digital safety is paramount, especially when engaging in online shopping. As we stated, by staying informed and adopting secure practices, we can navigate the vast online marketplace without compromising our personal information. So remember, your privacy is in your own hands. Stay safe, stay frosty, and happy shopping this holiday season. And again, thank you both for being here and for some great topics.
No, this was great. I learned a ton.